Something very dumb happened recently, and I don't even know what to make of it. To be honest, I would say part of it was my fault for believing that somebody who's been nothing but mean to me for so many months is capable of changing in one day. But anyway, this is about my mother in law, in case you guys didn't guess that already. She, let's call her Sharon, has literally never liked me. My husband and I have been together for the past 4 years. We got married earlier this year, and of course, that means that we have had a lot more contact with each other's families. My family adores him, and his family likes me too, with the exception of Sharon. I can tell that she's one of those boy moms who thinks that I'm stealing her son away from her or something, because she's always been very possessive about him. He's the youngest of three siblings, he has two older sisters, and he's the only male child. And from whatever I've heard and observed, my husband has always been his mother's favorite, right from when he was born. I also know for a fact that whoever he has treated in the past, Sharon has never liked those girls or approved of them, and she's made a huge deal of telling me about it. Basically, right from the beginning, she has let me know that she thinks she's the only person who actually deserves any sort of love and affection from her son, and everybody else is unworthy. Her attitude has always been very weird towards me, and there has always been some sort of tension, which I don't think people have been able to tell because it's not very obvious, but I know it's there, and I know that she knows it's there as well. Making weird comments about my appearance, about my habits, about my career, and just literally picking me apart in small ways. That's Sharon for you. I've never brought it up with my husband because she never does it in front of him, and I don't want to create problems unnecessarily. But I know that there is a certain competition going on between me and her, and I find it so weird that she's even bothering to compete with her daughter-in-law. But I knew that I was not going to snap, and I knew that I had to deal with all of this patiently because I was not going to give her the satisfaction of getting a rise out of me, so that's how our relationship has been for the most part. It's been a lot of mind games and it's been very complicated, but recently I guess I thought that she wanted to put it all to rest, and that's why she had asked me to accompany her for lunch with her friends. Because she wanted to introduce me to everybody, since they had a group and they wanted me to be part of it as well, since now I was family too. She had genuinely been very nice when she had asked me, and I actually had started to think that maybe she was changing and wanted to give me a real chance. So I decided to give her a chance as well, and after a bit of convincing, I agreed to accompany her for brunch with her friends. That was 2 days back, and she was very nice about the whole thing. She even lent me a dress. And then we showed up at the restaurant together, and she was being really sweet to me. But as soon as her friends came around, her personality changed altogether. Once they were around, she went back to being the person that I was used to for so long. And I immediately realized that this was the trap. But because there were so many people around, I couldn't leave since that would make it very awkward. So I had to sit there and deal with not just her, but also her friends. Because all of them were just cronies of each other. They were very subtle about it, but I noticed the fact that they were just picking me apart through their jokes and snide remarks. And they thought that I wouldn't realize. I just smiled and let it all go. And I was just waiting for the brunch to end so I could go back home. And then I would keep my distance from Sharon. But instead, after everything was over, they asked for the bill, and then Sharon told me that since I was new to the group, I was going to be expected to foot the bill this time. Apparently, this was some ritual that they had, but judging by the way everybody was snickering at me, I knew that they were just trying to make a fool out of me. And the restaurant was pretty expensive as well. Everybody ate and drank to their heart's content. So the bill was pretty high. It was around $2,000 and everybody was looking at me expecting me to pay for it. I didn't think Sharon actually thought that I was going to stand up and walk out without paying a dime, but that's exactly what I did because I was done. I took one look at the bill, I got up with my purse and started walking. They tried to call out to me and stop me, but I didn't even look back. I just kept walking and got an Uber and went back home. It was the weekend, so my husband was at home, and he knew that I had been very excited about lunch with his mom, but then when I came back home, I instantly broke down crying and told him everything that had happened and how humiliating it had been. And not just that. I also told him about how I had tried very hard to stay silent about how his mom had always treated me for the past few years, ever since we had started dating, because I just couldn't keep it to myself anymore. I had tried not to let her get to me, but she did, and I couldn't deal with this kind of thing anymore because I just wanted to be done with her now. My husband was quite sympathetic, and he told me that I don't have to worry about his mom anymore because he was not going to talk to Sharon, and neither did I need to do that anymore. He was very supportive, and I was grateful for that. But anyway, Sharon did not like my stunt much. She was very upset about the fact that I had walked out, and when my husband confronted her about whatever had happened, she kept insisting that this was an actual ritual, that whoever joined the group ended up paying for the first time that they had brunch with them, and that my decision to work out was really rude and not well received by her friends. They were all very offended, and they wanted me to apologize to all of them because they were all older than me and they thought that that warranted a certain amount of respect. I don't agree with that though, because I don't think Sharon and her friends were respectful towards me. So why should I be respectful towards them? And in fact, I would actually say that I had been respectful. I didn't hit back at them because I just did not think that it was worth it. But when they demanded I pay $2,000 for everything that they had eaten and drank, that was where I drew the line. Because I had hardly had anything, so I don't think there was any reason for me to pay. Besides, all of them had been horrible to me throughout the whole thing, and I've had enough. I'm not some doormat that Sharon can keep working on whenever she wants to. And she had done this on purpose, I knew that. I didn't speak to her directly. My husband did all the talking, but I know for a fact that they are not on good terms right now, because she kept defending herself and insisted I was the one who had overreacted. But my husband knows everything now, and he knows for a fact his mother was the one who has been mistreating me all along. So they are not on talking terms, and her friends are giving me a hard time because of that. She is not contacting me directly, but her friends have been texting me on social media, telling me that what I've been doing is really wrong since I was the one who was disrespectful, and yet I'm making it seem like Sharon and her friends were the problem here, and trying to turn her son against her for no reason. I really don't get it. I feel very weird about all of this right now. AITA for walking out when my mother-in-law and her friends expected me to pay for their $2,000 brunch plans? Update 1. Hey, so it's been a week since the brunch incident, and I'm not on talking terms with my mother-in-law. Neither is my husband. Her friends kept trying to bother me, but I didn't let that get to me, and I just kept blocking them after the other. Because after all, there's not much that I can do right now. And I'm definitely not apologizing for something that's not even my fault. I know that for a fact now, that none of this was my fault. That I just gave somebody a chance, and that was my bad. I shouldn't have trusted her right from the beginning. I get that now. Of course, I got some flack in the comments because I, even after everything that had happened, had decided to give Sharon a chance. But trust me, she was acting so sweet that I definitely didn't think that she would be up to something like this. I literally had no idea. That's her convincing she'd been with her the whole act. And before that, I know that there were a lot of questions about why I had never told my husband about any of this, about how she had treated me and picked me apart at every given point. And I think I explained that in my original post, but I'll explain it once again. I just did not want to create drama out of nothing, because at that point in time, she was very careful not to say anything untoward to me in front of my husband. And I knew that if I said something, my husband would definitely believe me. But I didn't want to cause fights, so I just kept my cool and didn't say anything for a very long time. I tolerated it all because I thought that it was not worth it. Now I know that it was wrong and I should have taken a stand for myself, because that was probably the reason why she kept thinking that she could do whatever she wanted. And she wanted to get away with it in the long run. Well, it's as good a time as any for her to learn the lesson that she cannot disrespect people, treat them like crap, and then get away with it all the time. I'm sure she doesn't care about the fact that I'm not talking to her, but she definitely does care about the fact that her son is also not on speaking terms with her right now. I'm pretty sure that that's the only thing that matters to her at the moment. And what's worse is that I'm pretty sure that even the rest of the family is upset with her now. Because in the last few days, I have received phone calls from my sisters-in-law and my father-in-law, and even though they haven't addressed the situation directly, they made it very clear that they do understand what I've been through, and they don't approve of whatever my mother-in-law did. They even apologized for whatever happened, which is very sweet, given that it was not their fault. But yeah, judging by that, I can tell that even the rest of the family does not approve of what she did, and right now it's just her against everybody else. I don't understand why it's so difficult for her to accept the fact that whatever she did not come from a good place. And it was unfair to me. And she has always been unfair to me. She's never been nice for absolutely no reason, because it's not like I've gone out of my way to trouble her or anything. In fact, I've done everything in my power to make sure that there are no problems, so that everything stays smooth. But she's the one who has constantly tried to create trouble. And I can't take that anymore. And I shouldn't have to take it either. She should just be grateful that I waited for this long to even speak up. Because if I had done that earlier, her darling son wouldn't have been speaking to her for much longer. So now, she can either change and apologize to me, or she can continue doing whatever she wants. And that way, the only loser is going to be her, because she's going to lose her son and the approval of the rest of the family as well. The choice is hers, because I'm done being a pushover for the sake of peace. I'm just done. Update 2. Hey, so it's been a couple of days since my last update, and my husband is still not speaking to his mom. It's not like Sharon hasn't tried to get in touch with us. She has. But if it's not an apology, then we don't want to hear it. She's not calling us. She's been texting us, but we haven't been responding. So that's how it is for now. And I just don't understand how difficult it is to just apologize. That's all that we ask for. And it's a very easy thing to do, especially when you're wrong. But for some reason, she just keeps saying that she needs to talk to us, that she needs to explain her side of things, and we can't just ignore her perspective and act like the victims here. It's just very annoying, but there's nothing that I can do about it. So I'm just ignoring her. Anyway, ever since I told my husband about everything, things have been much easier between the two of us. At first. He was definitely kind of upset that I had never told him about any of this, and he told me that he regretted the fact I hadn't trusted him enough to tell him about these things. But with time, I was able to explain to him that my decision to stay silent was nothing to do with how much I trusted him, and in fact I knew for a fact I trusted him so much that if I told him something, he would take immediate action, just like he had done this time. And I knew that if that happened, it would lead to a lot of problems in his family, and that's what I was trying to avoid. I told him I was being a little self-sacrificial just because I wanted him not to have any problems with his family, especially Sharon. And he explained to me that while he appreciated how thoughtful I had been, he did not want me to be self-sacrificing ever again, because it was just not necessary. So we had that talk, and I'm glad that we got that out of the way, because I think that has led to us falling even more in love. If that was even possible. I know it sounds really sappy, but that's exactly what has happened. Ever since we had that talk, I feel like both of us have been on cloud nine. I guess it was not as much as the topic of discussion that changed things, but it was the fact that both of us love and trust each other so much that the one thing we put before ourselves is each other. I think that's the knowledge that changed things. But anyway, enough about us. I'm just happy that I have such a loving and supportive husband. I'm lucky to have him by my side. I'm also lucky to have great in-laws, because my sister-in-law and my father-in-law, all of them, have been checking in on me. Of course, we haven't been able to meet for a while, because usually when we meet, it's at my father-in-law's place. But now we haven't been able to visit because Sharon is there and we're not on speaking terms with her. So that's why we haven't been able to meet in person. But I'm thinking about hosting a dinner soon with all our families. Of course, I'm not going to invite Sharon. I think my husband's fine with that as well. She's not apologizing to me yet, so I don't see any reason to invite her. I know for a fact that she'll be upset about it, but I can't help it. If she wants to be back on good terms with us, then the one thing that can help solve all her problems is just apologizing to me for what she did and what has been happening for the past few years. If she can't do that, then she simply has no right to expect anything from me, because like I said, I'm not a doormat anymore. Update 3. Hey, so like I had mentioned in my previous update, I decided to invite our families over for dinner this weekend. Everyone was free, so they agreed. And of course, I didn't extend an invitation to Sharon, but I did extend one to my father-in-law. And I told him that it was up to him whether he wanted to attend or not, because at the end of the day, I knew that him accepting the invitation and coming by on his own would lead to a lot of trouble with Sharon. Or at least I assumed that it would. But he immediately told me that he would definitely love to come. And the fact that Sharon is not invited is her own fault, so he can't do anything about it. He has already explained to her several times that the only thing that she can do right now is apologize to me for whatever she has done and hope for the best. But if she's not willing to do that, then they have nothing to say to each other. Apparently, they have been having a lot of trouble because they can't seem to agree on this one issue. He told me and my husband that he has been trying to explain to her that whatever she's been doing, it's not right, and she definitely does have a problem. That she's too possessive of her son, and she doesn't seem to approve of any woman that he has ever been with, and that she needs to let that go because it's weird and creepy. But instead of taking their criticism and accepting it, which is really just the truth, she's been accusing everybody of trying to villainize her and trying to take my side, even though I'm the one creating problems in their family and trying to break them apart. This is exactly why I had been keeping my mouth shut, because I knew this was going to be her only defense, which apparently was trying to break the family or something. But anyway, I'm lucky I have a husband and in-laws who are supportive of me, so they're not buying into any of this drama. In spite of that, though, it's still pretty annoying that she's trying to pin the whole thing on me, knowing that it's she who started this whole thing by being rude to me in the beginning and now with the whole brunch incident. But anyway, like I said, it's her own loss. First, She alienated her son with her own behavior. And now she's about to do the same with her husband as well. It's just sad. If she was only able to see that her problems would be sorted by the simple act of apologizing to somebody who she has done wrong to, then none of us would be in this difficult situation. But she's just making it so much tougher than it has to be. Update 4. So last evening we had the dinner party I'd been planning, but a couple of hours before the whole thing was supposed to start, I received a call from my father-in-law saying that he might not be able to make it because when he had started getting dressed, Sharon had asked him where he was headed. And he told her the truth, and of course she had told him he couldn't go. Whatever I was doing was very disrespectful to her, and that she couldn't believe that he was actually thinking about going without her, because they were supposed to be a family and they were supposed to put up a united front. So she threw a fit, and she kept fighting with him until she conceded and said that he wouldn't be attending. I was quite disappointed. I didn't even hide that. But then after a while, I told him that I really wanted him to come, and if it was okay, then he should just turn up with Sharon, because I had a few things in mind that I wanted to say to her, and I was going to be playing the gracious host regardless of whether she was here or not. So she might as well come over. He said that he would let me know, but I guess he forgot or something, because a couple of hours later, once everyone had shown up, he and Sharon showed up. But I had no idea that she would actually end up coming. Anyway, when she did come and I opened the door to her and invited her in, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. Of course, she had a very haughty attitude about her, but that lasted for about a couple of minutes before I started addressing her. Once she was inside, I told her that, in spite of how she had treated me in the past, and even after what had happened at brunch, I had let her into my home, and she had better remember that for the rest of her life. Because at the end of the day, she was the one who had been targeting me right from the first day, right from when she found out that I was with her son. And I told her that it was weird and creepy that she couldn't accept the fact that her son had a woman in his life who he loved. I also told her I knew for a fact that she had been attacking me right from the beginning, only because she saw me as competition, and I told her that it was unacceptable and her behavior simply had no justification or explanation that could make it right. After having said all that, I told her that it was my graciousness that had allowed her to show up here with her husband, even though I had never even wanted her here in the first place. But now that she was here, she was either going to have to apologize to me or leave. And just like that, I had put her on the spot exactly what she had done to me on the day of the brunch incident. I'm pretty sure that nobody saw that coming, because I'm usually a very non-confrontational kind of person, but like I said, I had had enough. And I was not going to be anybody's doormat. So if she was going to act as if she was the boss of everyone, and she was going to create so much drama that even my father-in-law, who actually wanted to be on my side, couldn't come to our dinner party just because she wanted to be petty, then I was going to be petty as well. I just stood there waiting for an answer, and everybody else also had nothing to say. Sharon was speechless for a couple of minutes, but then she started telling me that whatever I was doing was really rude, and this was no way to treat guests. But I told her she had pretty much done the same thing to me when I went out to brunch with her and her friends. She put me in a difficult spot. I demanded an apology for it, and if she didn't have the decency to apologize to me, then she could leave. It was as simple as that. It was her choice at the end of the day. And after ranting about how horrible I was, speaking to her for a couple of minutes, she decided to leave. And she even looked back and expected her husband and her kids to leave with her. But when they didn't take the hint, she spelled it out for them and said that she wanted them to take a stand for her, because she believed that they would not let her be disrespected like this. But my husband didn't say anything, and neither did his siblings. All three of them just ignored whatever their mom was saying and stared at her, not saying anything, which was a defiance in itself. It was finally my father-in-law who broke the silence and told Sharon that nobody was on her side here, because she was the one who had started this whole thing and I had put up with her to the best of my abilities. But now she was just making everything difficult for herself by creating drama out of nothing. She had the option to apologize to me and let it all go, but now she was just dragging it all out because she was on some ego trip. And by behaving like this, she was only going to ruin things for herself and nobody else, because nobody was going to side with her unnecessarily. And she needed to accept that. She didn't say anything to that. She just turned around, stormed out. After that, things were a bit weird, but we were not going to allow the dinner party to be ruined. So eventually we got back to chatting and drinking and everything, and overall it was a successful evening. And her visit was just a blip that we covered up easily. For now, we have dealt with the situation, but I don't know what's going to happen in future. Honestly, I don't have high hopes for Sharon. I don't think that she's going to apologize, but she's going to be the only loser in this situation, so I don't really care about that either anymore. She can do whatever she wants, quite frankly, for all I care. Update 5. Hey everyone, I'm back here almost 2 years later, and I have a sweet little update for you guys. So my husband and I are on our way to have our first child. I'm in my second trimester and we are so excited for what's about to come. Anyway, it's been a couple of months since we told the rest of the family, and everybody has congratulated me and has been coming by to visit me, with the exception of Sharon, of course. She and my father-in-law have made it work. They have stayed together, but she doesn't have anything to do with either me or my husband. Actually, she does wish my husband on his birthdays and on Christmas, but never me. He stays cordial with her as well. He wishes her back, and when we run into each other at other family events, she speaks to her son, but not to me, and I'm fine with that as well. Like I said, the only person who will be losing out on something will be her, because I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my husband, and I'm very excited to start this new chapter of my life too. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.